Hello and welcome everyone to another InventRight TV show. My name is Andrew Krause. I co-founded InventRight with Stephen Key over 21 years ago. We've had students in over 65 countries during that period of time. We are interviewing a bunch of inventors to celebrate our 50,000 subscribers. The fact that we're hitting 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're just bringing on different inventors to tell their stories and where they are with things. So you may make you think on some different topics, whether you want to license or whether you want to venture, what people are going through. And today we have Todd Miner on, and he has a product called the Gift. I had to look at a gift. I want to say Gift of Gab, but it's Gift Grab game. And I can say, having done InventRight for the last 21 years, inventors, it's hard to meet an inventor that's not passionate about their ideas. But when you have inventors that are doing games, especially games you play with your family and friends, they take it to a whole nother level, because when game inventors play the game with their friends and family, the friends and family get involved. They're very encouraging and they're very positive about it. And man, sometimes those inventors are like have the highest energy you can imagine. Todd, have you felt like that at times? Like you're just like, I really, really believe in this, and did your family and friends have something to do with it because you were playing it with them?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I started the gift grab game is because I was playing it with family, and we have a large family that plays during the holidays. And so we had about 17 people each year, and we play it together. And we found that some of us are too smart, and we tried to, get around the game and try to bend the rules and cheat a little bit to get what we wanted. And so I decided to come up with something that was fair for everyone and a little bit more fun. So this game includes a dice, a squishy dice that you roll, and depending on what it ends up rolling to, you can either keep your gift, trade your gift, or return your gift back to the table. And so it adds the element of chance to it. So you really can't, manipulate the game too much.
It has cards too.
Yeah, it's got some cards numbered 1 through 25, and on the other side they're just the numbers.
Got it.
So that tells you what order your gifts are traded in.
Got it. So is it accurate to say it's a variant of my family call it white elephant? We've been doing it about 6 years, 7 years or so. Didn't do it before then. Is that what it is essentially?
Yeah, it is essentially the white elephant, but it's standardized. I found through my research that a lot of people have different rules.
Oh, yeah.
Like how many times something can be traded, and if you can trade it at the end or not. So there's some infighting.
Oh, and it changes every year. Somebody goes, no, that's not the rules. It's part of the fun. You argue about the rules, right?
Exactly. You argue about the rules. So in this case, the rules are clearly printed right on the back of the box. So there's no arguing about how to play. It's a standardized version, basically, that anybody can just pick up and start playing without having to discuss the rules or what happens.
Now you had a little promo reel that I saw on your website. So let's take a look at that real quick. We'll come right back. So here we go. Sure. Let's take a look. All right, we're back. That was fun. I mean, in that video, mostly you were just showing the fun nature of it. You didn't get in all the details and all that. But you and I talked about it's kind of it's a white elephant deal with some structured rules, which has been a problem in my family. There's been lots of arguing. I think I said it's kind of a fun aspect of it. It kind of isn't actually a little bit. You don't want to like start arguing with your family on Christmas, right?
Right, exactly.
So I like this. I think my family needs this.
Yeah.
So this particular product you're venturing, you have it on Amazon. You don't have any retail distribution. Doing very small quantities. Then you have another barbecue product that I think you're licensing. And so this one you said you were trying to manufacture it yourself, then you decided to license, then you came back to manufacturing it yourself. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay.
I did manufacture it myself, literally in my garage for a little while. And then I found a supplier that could make them because the dice originally was made out of wood, which is right here, originally made out of wood. And I found that it's too hard, it's too difficult to manufacture, and it costs too much. So we went with the foam, which is lighter and more fun, and you can throw it at people and it doesn't hurt anything, you know. So, but yeah, we did start out doing it myself, and then I found a manufacturer to make them, and then just kept on going down the path. And now, yes, it's fully manufactured and will be available in stores and on Amazon, things like that.
Well, and that's going to be quite a new thing for you because right now it's on Amazon. You're doing pretty low quantities, not qualities. It looks like good
Yes.
quality product.
Right.
And what's the timeline on that? It's been 2 years, so this isn't like something. It's hard to do this overnight. You're working with a gentleman that you said was a dual citizen, U.S. and China. You're getting this made over there in what you said sample quantities, but you're still making some profit on Amazon. And you don't have any major cash flow issues because this is a pretty low. It's a printed product. At this point, you don't. If you got huge volumes, you would, right?
Right.
If you got a big
Right.
store order, it'd be like a whole nother story than doing small quantities on Amazon.
Yes.
But this one, you're looking to continue to venture it. If you got a good licensing deal on the table, would you still do that with a toy company or game company?
Yeah, depending on what kind of an agreement it would be, I'm totally open to licensing it. In fact, I tried to license it before I went out myself and self-ventured. Yeah, I'm a fan of licensing. I've got another product, a barbecue product that I'd like to license, and I've actually licensed a product before, a completely different product, but the company that I licensed with went out of business, and they cut the
no.
contract off. And I got a real bad deal with that. So
That happens. Well, what's the real bad
Yeah.
deal? They stop selling it, right? If the contract's set up right, they stop selling it. What?
yeah, the problem was that we had a minimum order quantity or a minimum quantity in the agreement,
Yeah.
and they weren't going to adhere to that. They didn't want to pay that minimum amount that they were
Right.
supposed to pay.
Oh,
for the
okay. They
contract.
didn't make good on what
They
they
didn't
said
make
they
good.
would. But because of that, you got it back. They defaulted on the licensing agreement and you got it back. So that's the good part of it. You set up
Yeah.
the licensing agreement right. Bad part of it is they're going out of business. They didn't meet their criteria set up in the contract with minimum guarantees.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a fun product. I think it's a really fun product. I want to encourage people down below in the description. We're just coming into summer right now. So, but that was one of the problems that you had when you tried to license this, you said, is that it was seasonal. They didn't know where to place it in the store. So
Right.
whether it's the Christmas area or is it the game area, and you got some feedback from some potential licensees is that's why they weren't interested.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Because it's kind of it's a limbo. Do you call it a game or do you call it a Christmas item? And there's actually not a lot of companies out there who manufacture just for Christmas. So there are gaming manufacturers, but they don't want to put it in the game section because it's really for Christmas. So yeah, it's kind of
You
an
might
odd
end up when you try to get distribution in stores having the same problem yourself. Maybe stores will have that same perception. Well, we don't know how this will do in the Christmas aisle, or we don't know how. So you might want to find some products that have been successful, maybe sold in the Christmas aisle or during Christmas, other products, and go, well, this and this did well. Because now a good qualified buyer will remember these things. But sometimes these buyers, they move around different categories and you get a new buyer and they just don't remember what happened 2 or 3 years ago. So that might be my advice if you're trying to get some retail distribution and they have the same hesitations that you were trying to license to a manufacturer had. That might be
Yes.
something to do.
Yeah, at the beginning of when I was trying to license it, I did go to all the stores and I looked to see what different brands and different companies were manufacturing Christmas products. And what I found is that nowadays, it didn't used to be this way, but nowadays the big stores like Walmart and Target, they have their own brand. and they manufacture all of the Christmas items under that one brand.
Yeah.
So Target has their brand and Walmart has their brand, and they do the same thing for Halloween and Easter too. So in
But
order to get into that store, you'd really have to license it under that store's brand.
but then that might be a tough one too, because house brands, they typically just want to reduce cost on generic items like wrapping paper and bags and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Yeah.
and they're not really into doing innovative stuff. That's not always true, but house brands are like a Target brand, a Walmart brand, definitely way less likely to license an innovative product or something that doesn't have a track record. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah, and that's what I found out. But I also don't want to just jump into Walmart because I don't want to get a PO for 500,000 units. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Well,
So
they
my
won't give
plan
it
is
to
to
you
start out
either. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So my plan is to start out smaller and build up, and that's what
hmm
I'm doing now by starting with Amazon and then moving into some small mom and pop stores and some catalogs and things like that, and
Yeah.
then maybe eventually work up to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you were passionate enough about it. You're like, hey, somebody want to license? I'm going to venture it. So far, it's been very low cost for you. I talked to other folks. I interviewed Mike the other day, and he spent $250,000 on patents when he was
Oh,
venturing it, and
wow.
insane amounts of money. And so at this point, you're able to keep your costs really low. I think because it's a printed product, you got the dice, but it's a foam
Yep.
squishy, so it's not too bad. But
hmm
that's going to change. So
Yep.
you can't venture a product with $10,000 on any serious level, but you're kind of doing that right now on the level you are with this particular product. It's possible. So
Yeah.
I think that's cool that you're able to do that, and you're really passionate about it. And you're like, well, I couldn't license it, so I'm gonna venture it. Now, other times you wouldn't do that every time, I'm assuming,
No.
because a lot of our InventRight students like, okay, I couldn't license this, but I put it in the closet. I'll reach out to all the same companies 8 months later. Maybe I'll get somebody with different perspective. Happens all the time, and I'm
Yep.
going to move on to my next product. So to completely change your business model just because you couldn't license it isn't something I advise everybody to do. But they're both viable means for bringing a product to market, and you were able to do this one. A lot of ones you can't. You need 50,
Right.
100K easy just to get started. This
Yep.
one, you could do it. You're a game inventor. You're inventing other stuff too, but man, you just probably get so much encouragement for your family because you played it with them, is my guess. And
Yeah.
if that drives you to being successful at venturing this, good on you. Um,
Yeah. You need a support
yeah,
system.
inventors don't always have that in other categories because they're inventing it and they're sharing it with their family, but they're not. The family isn't playing with it and using it all the time. And so
Yeah.
that's good. It's nice to have support from your family.
Yeah, and even I sold some at a convention, a trade show for holiday products.
Hmm
Was the largest one in the U.S. And that I took a bath. I lost a lot of money doing that, but I didn't do it in the hopes of selling. I was doing it for feedback. I looked at it as a feedback type of exercise, and I was able to talk to strangers, people I don't know that weren't my family or friends or anything, and they gave me direct feedback because I showed it to them, physically, and they can tell me, oh, I like this or I don't like this. So then I was able to come back and make some changes and tweak it, and then come out with a new version. So
hmm
that was totally worth it. Loved it, and it was a lot of fun. So
Well, and another thing that people don't understand about games quite often is quite often you don't need to file even a provisional patent on it. Um, Copywriting the rules is very strong. If somebody on Amazon came out with your game and copied your rules, like word for word, which copycats on Amazon do that sometimes, Amazon would take that down pretty quick. But if you're debating somebody about a patent, they'll be like, that's debatable. But when somebody violates if they use your same trademark, gift grab game, we can't get it right. I also want to
yeah,
say gift to gab, gift
you got
grab game.
it.
They would go, okay, we're taking this knockoff off, or if they copyright the rules. So the intellectual property on a game is really nice. Um,
Yes. Yes, and I got the you're exactly right. I copyrighted the instructions, so that's covered. Everything else really isn't patentable anyway. A lot of games aren't patentable, so
mhm.
going down the patent route really isn't necessary. Plus, in my mind, if you're going to patent something, you have to have the funds available to defend it if you ever go to court. So if you have a something that's worth 100,000 or more,
Yeah.
do you have the funds to take someone to court if they infringe on your
Yeah.
patent?
Even if you license to a big toy company and they're blowing it out big, they have to be making a certain amount of money before they're going to go run around suing people. And they're not even
Right.
going to do that. They're going to send a cease and desist. Now, the upside
Yeah.
there, which I talked to another interview that I did recently, the upside there is they're really big, and that little guy that's knocking them off is going to pay attention to that cease and desist order, which costs them next to nothing. But they might not pay attention to you if you're trying to venture it. So that's one advantage of licensing it.
Yes.
But people don't tend to knock you off until you're doing really well already anyway, especially with
Yeah.
a game like this. You know,
Right. Right.
so at some point, if you start to get some traction, you start to have cash flow issues, you might want to jump over to licensing if you can get the right deal on the table with a big company that's like, this is the commitments we're going to make. And they make good commitments with big, decent minimum guarantees. And you just, and so that might be something you can jump over to, or you raise enough money and keep doing it yourself,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm open to any avenue.
But what you're going to encounter is there's a massive difference between selling on Amazon and dealing with brick and mortar retailers. Huge,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
cash flow and stuff like that. So but you're going to find out. You're up for it, I think. I don't know if you have the finances for it, but like
Yeah.
you said, if you got a giant order from Walmart, you'd be screwed. You couldn't
Yeah.
do that. But you're not
No.
going to do that, and they're not going to give it to you anyway because they've ruined too many small companies that way, where
Right.
that inventor completely depends on that order, and if they pull it at any point, which they will if it doesn't sell, then the inventor is like bankrupt and they're on the street. So
Yes.
they don't do that anymore because they got a bad rap for that.
Yeah.
Which is it's on them, but it's really on the entrepreneur mostly. They made that decision. you
Right.
know. So I think your strategy, getting out small and scaling up, is smart, and you've got that drive because you're a game inventor.
Oh yeah.
You're an inventor
I'm
of
ready.
other things too,
Well,
but
we had to design this too. I mean, it all had to be developed before I started selling 2 years ago. So this has actually been about 4 years in the making. But the interesting thing about my predicament is that it's only sold at Christmas. So it's not a game that you can sell throughout the year. I have one shot. Come October, we got to start selling.
well, and that's really hard
it.
because let's say there's another seasonal vendor, right? And they have relationships with buyers at big retailers. They're going to get the FaceTime. It's going to be hard for you to get that FaceTime, and they've forgotten about you when the next year rolls around. So you have to
Yeah.
fight and scratch tooth and nail to get their attention, being a one SKU, one product company. You have to do that far, far in advance. But you
Yes.
can do it, but it's just, that's the hard part. If you license to that big seasonal vendor and they're just they're in the rotation with meetings with the buyers there. And I think if you're gonna continue to venture it, and you do get distribution at retail, you're gonna work really hard to get that. So you're gonna be like, oh, I created this distribution, these relationships. Maybe I should come up with some other stuff that fulfills that same channel.
Yes.
Because you've worked so hard to create those relationships. And
Right.
to be honest, after any decent amount of time, they're going to demand it, because they'll be like, okay, this guy's just got one product. After a while, they'll be like, anything else? No? Okay, bye.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you can't get in with one product when you're venturing. You can, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And you need to hit it way ahead of time. But
Yeah.
I think there are other examples of game inventors, like card games and stuff. They've really blown it up pretty big with venturing it, and I've seen some distribution in Target. I've seen some of those products in Target. They'll typically take it on after it's gone bigger, But there's a resurgence with, I don't know if it will continue after COVID, but during COVID, puzzles and card games and things
Huge.
is taken off.
Yes.
Well, I seem to be a trend that was already kind of increasing a little bit. It kind of ebbs and flows. I've talked to some board game and card game inventors, and it took off there. And it might. I think it might. I don't want people to assume it's not going to keep going after COVID. It might. People might have done things with it. Oh my God! Like hanging out with your family, having fun with your family. What a concept, right? They're
Right,
like, no,
right.
we're going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you can benefit from that, regardless of what path you take.
I think it's going to actually benefit a lot this year because people are starting to come back together and playing games as families. And this is a family game. I mean, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because last year I didn't expect to sell any during COVID, but I actually sold out. I had, I think, 350 or 400 left, and they sold out. So that really caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting to sell any, so I don't know what happened there. But this year should be, I think, I'm predicting that it's going to be even bigger than last year or the year before.
Down below in the link, guys, do you want them to go to your Amazon page or your website? We'll put them both down below. Either one's fine to buy from?
Either one's fine. They're both linked together, yeah.
All right, good deal. But, yeah, I think that people need to get back together with their families more. People are going COVID crazy now. They just want to get out.
Yeah.
You know? And I think is a great opportunity for you this Christmas. Christmas is going to be crazy this year. Everybody that didn't get together before is going to get together, and there's going to be more flying and more families together than ever before because they miss their family that much. And I think it's a great opportunity for your product. So guys, get ahead of the curve. Buy Todd's product down below and support an inventor, okay? And
sounds great.
Todd, thank you, and good luck working on licensing your barbecue product. And,
thank you.
You know, just remind everybody to take care, keep inventing, and we'll catch up with you guys next time. See ya. Bye.
Thanks, Andrew. Bye-bye.
Hey, don't hang up there yet.
Okay.
There's a great idea in each of us. But it's truly magical to see it come to life. Sharing your creativity with the world has never been easier. We can help.